Hello, everyone. Today we're going to be talking about the case of Julio Ramirez. This one is so sad. And the thing is, there's multiple, multiple killers, but also multiple victims because this was actually a pattern that was happening. And I had never heard of it, but when I started digging into it, it was just crazy to me. So we're going to be talking about Julio Ramirez. Unfortunately, he was killed, and we're going to talk about this case. All the links that I use for research will be down below, like always. Please do your own research and get to know this case, and let's just jump on in. So Julio is described as a vibrant and much loved person. He was a mental health counselor from Brooklyn. He would be taken from this world in April of 2022. Julio, who was 25 at the time, was spending an evening dancing at the Ritz Bar and Lounge in Hell's Kitchen neighborhood. He was a frequent visitor to Hell's Kitchen, often meeting up with friends to go dancing. In the early morning hours on April 21st, he was last seen at the Ritz on Restaurant Row on West 46th Street near Ninth Avenue. According to his friend Karina Quimpo, he'd sent one last text to his friend Carlos C. at 3:29 a.m. saying, "Did you get home?" At 3:45 a.m., Carlos would respond with, "I'm home." Julio would not Julio would not respond after that. Julio was supposed to meet Carlos at his apartment, and he would never make it there. Karina says that they are unsure if that text was actually from Julio or if his killers had his phone at that point, because at 3:46 a.m. his friends and his location would stop being shared with his friends and family. So to me, when I saw that, I was just like, I don't think that was him. I definitely think it was probably his killers trying to throw these people off or his friends off, and wouldn't think anything of it. It's because it was 1 minute later that his location stopped being shared. So, of course, his friends and family are super worried because they were unable to contact him the next morning, so they would begin to reach out to his workplace as well as hospitals. The staff at Mount Sinai Beth Israel got in touch with the family, where they confirmed that they had in fact identified his body. And this next part is going to be directly taken from a police statement. And it says, quote, "On Thursday, April 21st, 2022, at approximately um, uh, 3:48 hours, police responded to a 911 call of an unconscious male in the vicinity of Ludlow Street and Stanton Street, within the confines of the 7th Precinct. Upon arrival, officers encountered an unidentified adult male, unconscious and unresponsive, with no obvious signs of trauma observed. EMS also responded to the scene and pronounced the male deceased at the scene." End quote. So I believe just within minutes of his location not being shared anymore, he was officially dead. And police were responding to the scene, if I have the military hour correct. Detectives also shared that they were in the process of collecting more surveillance footage from the area to help piece together the timeline of his whereabouts at 3 a.m. Julio got into a cab, and 3 other men would enter the cab with him. They were dropped off at the same location in the Lower East Side and used Julio's phone to pay the cab driver. They told the driver to take Julio to a random address in Brooklyn. As the driver continued, Julio would become unresponsive. The cab driver flagged down an officer, and Julio was dead at the scene. There was also unusual activity with his bank accounts, because Julio's brother would log into Julio's laptop and saw that thousands of dollars were being zelled out of his bank account after his death, and this prompted suspicion that he was being robbed. So his case was still going unsolved, and this had everybody scared. Local bar and LGBTQ plus nightclub owners would distribute safety warnings around Hell's Kitchen, urging everyone to stay alert during their Pride Month activities. On June 8th, 2022, Hell's Kitchen residents, local leaders, and community advocates attended a vigil for Julio, organized by local activist Katie Savage and Karina Quimpo. And this is a quote from Karina at that rally. And she says, "What happened to Julio is a great shame. It's a shame that nothing is being done about this, that we need to talk about this." End quote. And I agree. Because it really didn't seem like much was getting done. They had no idea what was going on, who was doing this. And so this is actually a quote from activist and drag artist Marty Gold Cummings, who was also at that vigil. And they say, "We can no longer have our queer community not be safe. We have to protect one another, especially now with this sweet person's life taken, as well as the rights of the queer community being rolled back. This is the time for us to band together as a community so we uplift Julio, his life, and his family." End quote. And I think that is incredibly true and beautiful. You have to take care of one another. And especially in scary times like this, when human rights are being taken away and people are being murdered for simply being who they are, being targeted for who they are, you must band together. It's definitely the time for a community. So now we have a little bit of a timeline going on here. August 2022, his family would commemorate what would have been his 26th birthday. They planted a garden around a tree that Julio planted himself in the family's yard. A family prayer was had, and they ended the day at Pine Lawn Cemetery to pay their respects. November 2022, an eerily similar death makes the news. So the mother of John Umberger shares her son was found dead just weeks after Julio, also after a night out in Hell's Kitchen at the Q nightclub. He had been drugged with bank accounts drained, suggesting that this was a pattern of targeted assaults occurring in this area. After this, dozens of individuals would come forward with similar experiences of being drugged after a night out in Hell's Kitchen. This is the pattern I was talking about, that, it just seemed like maybe at first like a random death, but it wasn't. It started to shine a light that this was probably a pattern, because dozens of people would come forward. So in March of 2023, after 11 months, the Office of the Medical Examiner declares both Julio and John's deaths as homicides on March 3rd. They confirm that they are drug-facilitated thefts, and both were found to have been dosed with a combination of fentanyl, p-fluorofentanyl, heroin, cocaine, lidocaine, and ethanol. That was in their system. And if you don't know, it doesn't take that much fentanyl to cause a human to overdose. It takes very little. So that there was fentanyl, p-fluorofentanyl, I'm not exactly sure what that is, heroin, cocaine, lidocaine, and ethanol, that is definitely a deathly combination. The people were definitely attempting to kill them. It wasn't like, let's just knock them out and take their money. They wanted to murder them. So in April of 2023, 3 suspects in the case were identified as 35-year-old Jaquan Hamilton, 34-year-old Robert DeMaio, and 30-year-old Jacob Barroso, all of whom are believed to be a part of what officials call Robbery Pattern 188. The group is alleged to have drugged and robbed at least 17 clubgoers. Additional suspect Shane Hoskins was charged with 2 counts of grand larceny and 1 count of identity theft from April 2022, because the men were linked to Julio and John. They ended up being linked to their deaths. And I want to say that I found some photos of them. I couldn't find all of them. Just 3 photos of the 3 main suspects, I guess. I'm not really sure who is who, because it was just kind of confusing to me. They had a bunch of names coming out, because then I saw later on that there was a 6th person that was named, and I could not find their photo for the life of me, so I just wanted to put that out there. On April 18th, DA Alvin Bragg, NYPD Commissioner Keechant Sewell, and NYC Mayor Eric Adams announced that 5 total suspects were arrested and charged with those deaths. And then later on, I saw that a 6th person had been linked to it as well. And now, 1 year later, friends and family are finally closer to getting the answers that they deserve. Unfortunately, I don't believe this has gone to trial yet, because Just a few months ago, they finally had these people linked, but they have been charged with the deaths. So hopefully we'll have some news of trial updates, maybe uh, some plea deals, or like what are they pleading, and we'll have some answers soon. We'll maybe get to hear like what happened exactly. I'm kind of curious about when this goes to trial, what they're going to say, like why they were doing it, like who all was involved. Was it a bigger group? Was it just these few guys, or was it really just this big old scheme that they had going on? It kind of makes you wonder, like, how many people were involved? Was it just these 17 people and 2 deaths? Was it in a different area? It kind of makes you wonder just all what was going on, and like what was the actual plan behind this. I do think they definitely intended to kill people, because there is no way you can give them all that and expect a human to live, especially when we know that fentanyl, just a very tiny amount, can kill someone. So I definitely think they had sinister plans, but I'm just interested in, like, what was the master scheme here? Who are these people? Why? Nothing is gonna make it better, but I think the family would deserve to know why. Why Julio? Why John? Why are these 17 unnamed people being targeted? It's just really gross in my opinion, and I'm so sad that this man who looked like sunshine, seemed like sunshine, everybody seemed to love, was taken for money. It's I can't wrap my hand around it. And John as well, he seemed like a sweet person. He was I believe he worked in politics, from DC. Like, such a good life, and someone had to do this, and it's despicable. So I'm going to be keeping an eye on this. I will definitely do an update when trial comes around, when we start getting more answers. Have you heard about this case? What do you think about it? Do you think that it's a whole bigger thing than what we even know now? I'd be really interested to know you guys' thoughts. Please leave kind thoughts for the families down below. Please, nothing nasty. I just don't want the family to come to these videos and just have to see something gross. So be kind with your words for Julio and John and the people who were targeted and fortunately did not pass away. And thank God that they caught these people, and hopefully that there isn't any more that's out there doing this. But that is all I have for you today, guys. Thank you so much for listening to Julio's story, and I will see you guys very, very soon. Thank you so much. Bye, guys.